Everything must be black, like the storm of justice.
Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. September 20th, 2025 is Batman Day. To celebrate, I'm pitting the new DC Multiverse Troika Batman against the McFarlane Digital Platinum No Man's Land to see which black costume Batman is best. I'm also going to be trying out some Troika Batman head swaps and showing you how to fix the cape on No Man's Land. Starting with the packaging, and we actually have two different style boxes. No Man's Land comes in that blue and turquoise digital box, whereas Troika comes in that tried and true DC Multiverse, similar names and logos on the spines, and full-size comic artwork on the back. As I said last time, No Man's Land comes from the cover of Detective Comics 733 and was painted by Paul Winslade. Troika comes from the cover of Batman 515 and was illustrated by Kelly Jones. For those looking for Troika in-store, here's that UPC, and for those looking for No Man's Land in-store, here's that UPC. Just remember, it's the same for both Platinum and regular, so just because the store says it has it doesn't mean it's this one. Both boxes are solid and pretty well representative of their respective lines. That said, I do like this artwork a little bit better. More importantly, the digital box is just more character specific. For packaging, this round goes to No Man's Land. Moving on to presentation, and let's crack our contenders out of their plastic cages. To the top of his scalp, No Man's Land is 7 inches, or 18 centimeters, and is a Platinum Edition repaint of the blue and gray No Man's Land, which itself is just a modified version of Nightfall. Sculpt-wise, and the only differences for No Man's Land are the pouch belt, and also the head. If you saw my original video, you'd know that I thought that the yellow on the belt was a bit too bright, and that he shouldn't have the blue trunks. Obviously, you're going to be able to find artwork throughout the story where he does have them, but generally speaking, this was a point where we were pivoting away from that. The cool thing is he did actually have the all black and yellow costume in that story also, so not only is this accurate as well, it also evokes that Michael Keaton costume, and I'll admit I am a sucker for that. Troika, by contrast, stands at a staggering 7¼ inches to the top of his scalp, or 18½ centimeters. To the top of his ears, though, he comes to 8⅛ inches. Troika is mostly reuse of Batman Year 2, with his only new pieces being his head and these very unique boots, which have been given fins similar to Batman's gloves. For those unfamiliar with the story, this is a special reinforced suit that Batman wore following his battles with Bane and Azrael. It was meant to evoke the movie design, and is called Troika based on the Russian word for set of 3, a reference to the story's villains, which were 3 former KGB operatives. As long as we're talking about sets of 3, I feel like this is the 3rd time McFarlane's given us a black costume Batman on this body, the other 2 being the Plastic Man wave, along with the Spawn 2-pack, and if you remember that video, you'd know that I pointed out that this head pretty much comes from Troika. Looking at it side by side, and it's a near perfect match to the Troika artwork, even more so than the new Troika figure. Either way, and just like Troika itself, it's clearly based on the style of Kelly Jones. The darkness of the bottom lip, however, does make the mouth look a little bit confusing, and they made the nose guard more of a hooked beak, and I don't really care for that. Regardless of how I feel about it though, it is taken directly from the comic, and I'm pretty sure this exact image was the basis for this figure. It's perfect for those who want a Batman in that Kelly Jones style. For my taste though, I like how No Man's Land feels more universal. Even though both are black and yellow, one major difference is the finish. No Man's Land is glossier, but if you look closely, there's even an iridescence to it. Troika, on the other hand, has more of a matte finish. It really helps the details to stand out better, and I really like how that glossy black in the logo pops. I also appreciate that they actually painted the black outline around it, which is one thing they didn't do for the JLA version. Alternately though, I much prefer this richer yellow that they used on No Man's Land. There's nothing wrong with the Troika one, but it almost feels neon by comparison. Again, that just comes down to personal preference. And speaking of personal preferences, we must talk about the capes. I've never been a fan of this chunky plastic piece. If you've seen enough of my videos, you know I don't use it on my year 2. As far as this body goes, I much prefer how they handled it with Detective Comics 27. The trade-off, though, is that this has that nicely sculpted emblem. With that in mind, the neck and shoulders of No Man's Land casts a better silhouette, but the biggest difference between the capes is that Troika's has a wire in it, whereas No Man's Land does not. That, however, is a conversation for playability. As for this category, I'm a bit conflicted. I like No Man's Land better. In general, though, I feel like more care and attention went into Troika. Some real effort went into making this feel like Kelly Jones artwork. I also really like the matte finish. For presentation, this round goes to Troika. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to Poseability, and from the top we have the biggest difference between the two of them, that being that Troika's head is articulated at the base of the neck, whereas No Man's Land is at the base of the skull. Troika also suffers because of this bulky cape piece. As we can see, he can't look up whatsoever, and even down isn't that great. Both figures get a fairly equivalent tilt though, and of course all the way around, with Troika again being a bit on the stiff side. Working our way down though, and Troika does have the much higher arm raise. Both figures have rotator cuffs, though admittedly No Man's Land is better. Additionally, both figures get complete rotation. They also both have bicep swivel, as well as double jointed elbow, with No Man's Land having the deeper bend, and wrist balls that can swivel and hinge either up and down or side to side. Shifting to the torso, and both figures have a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. Although they are fairly even-steven, No Man's Land has a slightly deeper arch back. For contrast, and here they are standing straight, and while neither one has a particularly impressive hunch forward, No Man's Land does have a slightly better one. Side-to-side tilt seems to be the same, and of course both can twist. Below the bright yellow utility belts, and both have the standard McFarlane hips. Troika has the higher kick, and the further kick backwards. That said, they're both a pretty even split. Both also have twist in the hip, and I think the Troikas might be a little bit better there too. Both figures have double jointed knees, but Troika gets the deeper bend, and then working all the way down, both bats have toe articulation and ankle balls that can swivel, hinge, and like Batman going to all black when he needs to be extra edgy, pivot. Obviously they're similar, but for Poseability, the edge goes to No Man's Land. Moving on to Playability, and both figures come with trading cards. No Man's Land is a brief synopsis of the story. Same thing with Troika for those who want to read that. Of course, No Man's Land is a digital release, meaning it also includes the scratch-off for a digital token of the figure that you can display in an online showroom. With this being a platinum, though, I'm not entirely sure how that works. As I understand it, it's random as to whether or not you're going to be getting this one or this one. Par for the course, and we've got a couple of figure stands, but in terms of accessories, each one has a batarang. I would love to see Troika try to shove this into his utility belt. Hands-wise, and No Man's Land has alternate accessory holding ones, as well as fists. Troika comes preloaded with open gesturing hands, but he also has an accessory holding hand for the batarang and a left-handed fist. The issue, once again, being that these are the ribbed versions from 3 Jokers, so they don't match the other hands that this figure comes with. What Troika does have going for it, however, is the wired cape. The fact that McFarlane didn't wire the No Man's Land one is really astonishing to me, mainly given that Troika is a regular release, with No Man's Land being a $28 digital. Of course, Playability is more than capes, hands, and figure stands. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. The thing is, we've seen so many comparisons already using these two bodies, so with your blessing, I'm mostly going to skip this part. That said, I did get a request to show off Troika side by side with Max Fleischer's Superman, Kingdom Come Superman, and Silver Age Superman. Personally, I think that either one of these can work. It gets a bit murkier when you bring out other characters like Wonder Woman or some of his villains. If, however, you prefer a smaller Superman, you should choose your Batman accordingly. Same thing with your sidekicks. For the purpose of this video, I'm much more interested in Troika Batman head swaps. First up, and for one I seldom get to bring out, and here's the Battle Damage Death Metal. I doubt anyone is looking for this combination. If you are though, hope this helps. I am, however, intrigued by this one. Between the glossy black and the blood dripping down the chin, you'll need to do a little bit of repainting, but it does make for a pretty interesting look. Now, JLA is so similar, I'm not going to bother with a head swap here, but for the same body in a different color scheme, I do want to try out out 3 Jokers. If you like the JLA figure, this combo is pretty much that, but with a cloth goods cape. Unfortunately though, that bunched up collar piece really gets in the way here. Mainly I wanted to try this combo for those who wanted a black and gray version of a Kelly Jones Batman. Personally, I associate Kelly Jones with more blue and gray, but with some minor tweaks, there's a lot of potential. Now, of course, if you're jonesing for a Kelly Jones Batman with a plastic cape, and here's the Spawn 2-pack, it mainly comes down to which cape and shoulders you prefer. Again, this head is more like the cover artwork, but I still think that the head that comes with this figure is a better match for the interior. The Spawn version was reissued as a blue and gray platinum. Naturally, you would have to repaint the mask, but overall this color scheme for this Batman is pretty cool. I'm not sure how I feel about this configuration, but I'd be remiss if I didn't show you. For the most Kelly Jones blue and gray though, and here we have year 2. And yeah, this is pretty much the one. Just paint up the mask, and you've pretty much got the classic Kelly Jones Batman. For those who don't like that extreme Kelly Jones aesthetic though, and this is pretty cool too, you could either paint this mask black, or paint the skin on the black and white accent edition exclusive to Big Bad Toy Store. For another long-eared option, and here's Detective Comics 27. For those who don't want to do any repainting, this head on this body's a pretty close approximation to year 2. The ears are a little bit different, but of the options we've looked at so far, this has been my favorite head on this body. It's also the one time I haven't minded the shoulder collar. Other way around, and this doesn't really work for me. You've just got 2 very different looks clashing, but if you like it, more power to you. Lastly, for a short-eared option, the black and gray Hush. If you're okay with the logo and belt, this is another great option for those who want a black and gray version of Kelly Jones. Bonus that the blacks match perfectly, so you don't have to do any repainting. When it comes to a black costume Batman, I prefer the ears to be a little bit taller. In general though, this is still one of my favorite DC Multiverse Batman heads. If you like it though, you will need to dull the mask. For No Man's Land head swaps, I did a whole video, but I did get a couple of requests in the comments. First, and for the big one, here's the Dark Knight Returns. This combo is for someone interested in making a custom of Absolute Batman. Hopefully McFarlane will give us one while he still has the license, and hopefully it'll be an all-new sculpt to properly capture his hulking proportions. I also got a request for a trunk swap with Arkham City. If I understood the comment correctly, they wanted to see Arkham City with the No Man's Land head and trunks. Admittedly, if you want to make this work, you're going to have to swap out the entire joint and not just the trunks themselves. But I gotta tell you, this combination is way better than I was expecting. Given how hard to find the Platinum Edition is though, you might want to try the trunks from Hush instead. While we're here though, I do want to show you how to fix the cape on No Man's Land. The first thing you're going to have to do is heat up this collar piece so the glue gets nice and soft and you can pull the whole thing away. Now I wasn't able to pull it completely off, but this should work. Next you're going to want to take some floral wire. This is 20 gauge and I got a whole pack of it at Walmart for about $2. Next up, match it to the length of your cape band trim and snake it through the seam. This time I'm going through the bottom. Make sure to thread it through this groove and into the other side. Using either Gorilla Glue or Crazy Glue or something like that, seal it back down, and there you have it. An instant, affordable upgrade. The very fact that I had to do this modification though does speak to Troika's favor, plus being taller he scales better with a wider variety of figures. For playability, this round goes to Troika. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price, and the battle is tied. At $28, No Man's Land is not only already more expensive because it's a digital figure, this one is a Platinum Edition, meaning it's that much harder to find, so if you want it, you may end up having to resort to the aftermarket. Troika, by contrast, is a wide release I found at Walmart for only $25. Despite being cheaper, he has a similar amount of new tooling as well as the same number of accessories, plus a wired cape, making him the better value. As a figure, I might personally prefer No Man's Land, but for price, this round goes to Troika, who wins the battle 3-2.
You know, I can't help but notice you went to the trouble of having me in the video, but you didn't have me say or do nothing. Kinda makes your old back Gramps feel unappreciated.
I could appreciate you.
Well, hello there, little lady. How are you doing?
Why don't you come over for some week
cakes and find out.
Now that's the kind of woman that could make a man cash in his war bonds.
Oh no, what have I done? For more Batman videos, check out one of these, and until next time, play nice and have fun. And like Batman going to all black when he needs to be extra edgy, pivot. Hi!